Hey, everybody, Kevin here with Pursuing Pixels, and welcome back to another edition of Save It for the Cast, and you know the drill by now. As always, this week we got the full crew in the house. We're going to kick the ball over to John, Randall, and I in just a little bit here. I will say this week we don't get into anything too meaty. It's all video game focused, mostly Nintendo focused. We kind of dip into a little Zelda after I finished off Minish Cap, and we talk a little Wind Waker for a bit, and then John's been playing through the Metroid Prime series. So we talk a little Metroid Prime 2 and then dip into a little GameCube action and just some various, Nintendo stuff and various other gaming stuff as well. Just kind of some episode planning and whatnot. Like I said, not too meaty on the back end here. Just a short little chunk of conversation where we're having a couple laughs and everything as well. So I'll kick it over to that in just a little bit here. But on the topic of Nintendo, as for the stuff that I've been playing lately, and this might end up coming up on a future Save It for the Cast because I talked a little bit about this with John the last time we sat down for a proper session and recorded outside of the actual episode. But I've been doing a bunch of gaming, or I shouldn't say a bunch of gaming, but a couple sessions with my little nephew who's just about to be 3 years old. And he's just been getting into the Switch over with my brother and his wife. They've been playing new Super Mario Brothers U and then a few other random games like playing Mario Party and stuff. And like for the most part, it started out just like, in classic like little kid fashion. I know like my cousin would do this with me, or we would do it with my little brother once I grew up a little bit, like just hand him a controller and have him, fake play while we play the game and kind of pretend like, he's in on the action. But now he's getting to the point where obviously he's not able to like full on beat these Mario levels, but he kind of gets it. Like he's able to run and jump and land on the enemies and jump over the gaps. Not every single time. He misses a bunch of the times, but he gets it. Like there was even one little section where like you clearly had to like jump from this higher little lip. And if you missed it, you fell into this little like not, death pit, but just like a little lower, area of terrain or whatever where you couldn't then jump up to the higher lip of the next ledge. So he would like clearly know like, hey, I got to go back and then run back over and make the jump. And it was just so cool to watch him like figure out the game. And then as soon as he couldn't figure out how to beat something, he'd hand me the Switch and go, all right, your turn. And then I'd beat a few stages for him and like really, kind of show him how it's done. But it's so cool to see, like I've kind of written off so many of these little things. And I was talking to John about this a little bit as well, or talking with John about this. But like I've written off and even been like borderline annoyed is not quite the right word, but like with certain games I feel like right in like the Wii era, Nintendo started doing the whole thing with like, in Donkey Kong Country Returns or in the new Super Mario Brothers games, like if you die a handful of times on the level, it's like, hey, do you want us to show you how to do it, or you want Luigi to teach you how to beat the level or whatever? And I always thought like, oh, that's kind of annoying. I mean, you can just skip it and ignore it if you want to. So it never really bothered me, but it's just like, oh, this doesn't really need to be there. But then watching how excited my nephew gets for like, oh, the Luigi button. And it just like couldn't wait for it to, for Luigi to swoop in and save the day basically and beat the level for us. It's just so cool to see. Like I never really, I guess, realized how awesome of a feature stuff like that is for kids, that are just learning how to play games, or being able to play as Nabbit, who can still fall down the pits or into the lava, but doesn't take any damage from the enemies. So he can just kind of like, but still can jump and land on the enemies. So you can still kind of learn the ropes without as much of the, risk and whatnot. And then if you're playing multiplayer, which we weren't, we were actually just playing like, hot seat style, I guess, passing it back and forth. But like if he's playing with like my brother and his wife and whatnot, or his mom, I guess for my nephew. But like if they're playing together, like they can play multiplayer. And then if he falls down a pit or something, he'll just, turn into a bubble and they can pop him and, rescue him and then keep playing the game. So it's just so cool to see all these features in these Nintendo games. And then we were actually playing a handful of other games on my Switch. Like I was showing him like, hey, look at all these games. And I felt kind of bad because I didn't have any of my physical copies with me. Other than the one game that I'm going to talk about a little bit later, which is not necessarily that it wouldn't be like appropriate for him, but just probably he wouldn't really get what's going on. But we ended up playing a little bit of Monimals as well, which is not a Nintendo game. I think I've like teased or talked about this game a handful of times on the podcast, or at least I've mentioned it. I know Randall picked it up, so I keep like kind of tabling it and like half talking about it. But it's an awesome like underwater like fishing platformer, to loosely describe it. But you're really just playing as it's like a side-on like 2.5D art style, but like you're playing as actually like the reel of the hook, like your main character that you select like casts the hook right at the beginning of the level into the water, and then it just like is a side-on perspective, and you're mostly underwater, but there are points where you're like you can do this like dash or like slam attack, and then you can slam into the ground and almost like do like a pogo stick style like launch into the air, which is a really cool mechanic. And then they kind of every level throws like a new twist at you. They revisit some things here and there, but they really are throwing like almost like a new puzzle or play mechanic into the mix on every stage. But it just really cemented, like as I played that game for the first time, I was like, man, this almost feels like a game made by Nintendo. And it definitely cemented it, just seeing how like into it my nephew was getting with all just like the bright colors. And he ran over to his mom. That was the last game we ended up playing on the first session that we had. And he ran over to his mom to like tell her all the stories of everything from the game. And I could hear him like mentioning some of the characters. But it's even so impressive. Like, again, he's barely or not even 3 years old. He's about to be 3 next month. But he's like remembering all the secrets in New Super Mario Brothers U that like his parents must have showed him, because he'll point at like a wall that I run past and go, hey, there's coins in there. Or, I saw him like just when he was playing, like go down a hidden tube that was just, if you didn't know it was there, how would you know to press down and go, find this spot? So the fact that he's like remembering this stuff from when he plays, presumably days or weeks before is pretty crazy to me. I guess I'm not around that many young kids, so I don't know if that's just normal, but to me, I'm like, this is nuts. Like we even played, he's into like a lot of like Halloween spooky stuff. So like he saw Crypt of the Necro Dancer on there and was like, oh, what's this game? And, I put it on the Bard mode. So there's you don't have to like play to the beat. And obviously he didn't know what he was doing. He was just like moving the joystick up, down, left, and right. And he kind of understood to move like what direction he wanted to move in, but I don't think he understood like, hey, I got to bump into these enemies to attack them. And obviously didn't know how to like use items. But even when we were playing yesterday, we played some Mario Kart because he's really into cars and stuff as well. So I was like, oh, he's going to love this game. And I put it on again, those features that I was like, why is this even in the game? Like where you can like, like the bumper mode, and then like the constantly like driving mode. I don't know what they're called, but they're basically these like kind of kid friendly settings for Mario Kart 8, where it just allows you to like basically stay on the track at all times. It'll kind of like help self-steer you or auto-steer you, I guess, and stay on the track. So, like, he was able to do some of the steering on his own, and then I was showing him, like, hey, this is how you use the items, and, like, quickly he was able to grasp, like, he had to kind of juggle his thumb and fingers a little bit on the joysticks and couldn't fully, steer and use the items at the same time, but he definitely understood, like, hey, I just picked up a box, got an item, let's use it and see what it does. So it's just so cool. Like, I really can't wait to just keep playing more games with him because he seems really, really into it. But at the same time, after we played a little bit and we were trying to move on to just like hanging out with the family and everything. So we're like, hey, Mario needs to take a break from all that running around. And, after a little bit of coaxing, we were able to get him to move on to just playing some puzzles and, hanging out in the family room. But it's just been so cool to like see these Nintendo games through a little kid's eye. I always knew that Nintendo made games, so, with that younger audience in mind. But like, all of these features and all of these just like how immediately he can get sucked into the adventure of it all. Like, it's just so cool to see. And then as for the stuff that I've just been playing on my own, the game that I kind of mentioned that I had in the physical cartridge slot, which I've also been kind of tabling like Monimals for quite a while because I know Randall has this game and's booted it up a few times as well. But it's Might and Magic Clash of Heroes, and I guess it's technically the definitive edition on Nintendo Switch. And I got this game physically recently, which I'm a little bit bummed only about one aspect of the game, even though in all honesty, I'm probably never really going to play this game multiplayer all that much, unless I maybe end up playing like online with Randall or something, because there are online servers, although I did try to sync up with just like a quick match and there was nobody there. So I don't think there's anybody actually like playing online unless you have someone you can, personally sync up with. But the 2-player mode, which is, I had this game back on my PlayStation 3 and played a ton of it with one of my old roommates where we would just play back and forth. We would just, play against each other. It's like a versus puzzle battle game that's also has like an RPG campaign as well. But basically, the battle system is like a match 3 puzzler where one player's on the top of the grid, one player's on the bottom of the grid. And I didn't finish the thought of like this new definitive edition. You can play the 2-player mode, but if you're playing locally, you have to play with like one single controller and like hot seat it and pass it back and forth, which is apparently how it is on Steam as well. I'm playing on Switch. I don't know if I mentioned or not. I think I did because of the physical copy, but Nonetheless, like when I played it on PS3 back in the day, we both had our own controller and we're, sitting, I don't want to necessarily have to sit side by side with somebody and pass a sweaty controller back and forth. Not that it's like the most action intensive game, but it was just kind of nice because you could like sit there even and kind of like plan out your moves and move your cursor around with your own controller, when me and my buddy and my roommate would play back in the day. But nonetheless, I just really, really love this game. And I've been actually playing through the campaign as of late, which I haven't played a ton of or hadn't played a ton of back on the PS3 because we just got so sucked into that battle mode. Like once we unlocked enough of the game, we were like, okay, or at least I was like, okay, that's enough. That's all I need to see of like the game itself. But now that I'm just kind of playing solo, I'm really enjoying playing. And I really love it's like a RPG in like a traditional sense. Like there's a little bit of story, but the way the map is laid out, it's like almost like little nodes, like as if it were like a Mario Party board or something like that, which I really love because you just like you have no temptation to just like, oh, what am I missing over there in that corner? Or what am I like? You just know, hey, there's like a bonus path this way that clearly has a couple extra battles or an extra treasure chest or something, but I don't have to go that way if I don't want to. And there's no random battles. Like you can see the enemies you're going to come across right on the actual board. Like, hey, there's one on that, that node or that tile coming up. So I know I'm going to have to square off against an enemy. And then back to the battle system. Again, it's like a match 3 puzzler, and this game's made by Capybara Games and published by Ubisoft. I've never really played any of the Might and Magic games. Pretty much unfamiliar with the series other than this game. And then my brother had maybe one of them on the PlayStation 2, but this is like some kind of action, like hack and slash game that he had. We never really played much of it, but anyways, back to this game. Yeah, the battle system is incredible. You basically have 3 different colors of characters, or like minions or whatever you want to call them, like different units. And it's like you can either line them up horizontally and then they'll form a wall if you have 3 of them or more lined up together, or if you line up 3 of them in like a vertical line, then they form like an attack formation. So you might have like in the beginning, I'm playing as these like elven characters that have like an archer, a bear, which is more of like just like a melee attack, and then these fairies, and then you can swap out, like you can do all fairies, and then there's just 3 different colors, or you can do 3 different enemy or unit types or whatever you want to call them. And then there's also like these special units that take up more than one tile that also have like special abilities, and you can swap those in and out. And you're not only leveling up your own main character, but you're leveling up the each, individual units that you use in the battles as well. So that's one thing that can be a little bit tricky is like you can't really do any grinding because there's no like, I guess you can go for like the extra battles that are, or side quests or whatever that you don't need to do. But those are like the only way to get some extra experience. Otherwise, you just have to like, just go through the campaign in the way that it's laid out, essentially, which I really like. Again, you kind of know like, hey, this person that I'm about to square off against is like a little bit higher level than me. Like, did I maybe skip anybody that I could square off against to try to level up a little bit more before I go, face off against them? Because I know this one's been a little bit tricky, but I love even if you lose a battle, it's just like lets you continue and start that, right from where you left off and pick up. You're basically just replaying that battle that you just lost. But it's pretty tricky. Like I'm about 2 hours into the game and I'm starting to lose battles pretty regularly. It's taken me like 2, 3, 4 tries to take down an enemy. Which is really satisfying. Like it can be like, it feels like there's like a little bit of luck involved. But for the most part, it really feels like you're, playing very strategically. The battles last a pretty long time. You also like your individual like character that you're playing as. Basically what you're trying to do is your attacks will launch towards the enemy's side of the screen, and then if they have any of their units or minions in the way, that'll block some or all of the damage, or if they have built any of the walls, that blocks some of the damage as well. But then, for example, like I have a special character that's like this deer that will just jump over the walls, so they'll just disregard those and then only take damage. So like if my deer does normally 12 damage, it'll jump over the walls, but then run into the couple of units that might be in the way. That'll damage my deer. So it'll take, let's say 6 damage. So I'll only do 6 damage to the opponent as opposed to 12 if I had a, full clear shot. But then as I do damage and even as I take damage, I kind of like level up my special power, and then I can use that, which for my, starting character is like this, like trio of arrows that you can trigger and then line up in the row or column, I should say, that you want to fire them at, and then launch, like try to find one that like, oh, here's a clear shot. I can take these, right in these 3 columns, and there's 2 of them are totally empty. So I can take a clean shot and do a ton of damage that way. So sometimes you almost like want to like, hey, let me take a little damage here so that I can fully fill up my, special attack meter and then launch my barrage of arrows at the enemy. But I really like too how the campaign is broken up into like, there's a few different kind of like, I don't know, clans or whatever you want to call them, or regions. Maybe they're countries. I don't know exactly. I'm not paying full attention, although the story is it's generic, but it's engrossing enough, and it's, gets straight to the point pretty quickly. But yeah, I'm really enjoying how the game's just broken up, both in the sense that, like, you don't have to explore the map in every nook and cranny because it's laid out in these nodes in almost like a board game style fashion. And then on top of that, like, the campaign is split up into like, okay, let me play the Elf campaign. Now let me play the, the next factions campaign or whatever. It's just really, really awesome stuff. And it's a game that's been out. Yeah, like I said, I had it on the PS3, so it's been out for quite some time, and it still holds up. Again, I really wish they would have fixed or, added in that 2-player controller support, being able to play with multiple controls, or multiple controllers. But I can't really complain about that too much, especially because I really know that I'm probably not going to play this game all that much, if ever, with anyone couch co-op or couch, competitive, whatever. So as much as I wish that was in there, I'd know in the back of my head or in my heart that I'm really probably never going to have that opportunity to play a game like that with somebody, or at least, if I would, I can suck it up and, hot seat it with one controller for the the one opportunity that I might have in the future. But I've been playing a few other things here and there, but I think I'm going to leave it there for because I've done more than enough rambling at this point, first and foremost. And yeah, I've just been super busy lately with ended up quitting my job on Monday. Just had enough of the negativity at the office that I was at, and have a few other offers at a couple other jobs that I've been applying to over the last couple of weeks. So feels like things are turning around in the right direction, brightening up a little bit, hopefully on the work side of things. But yeah, I've been pretty drained from just like trying to switch gears and, get that all taken care of on the back end and whatnot. So yeah, anyways, yeah, I've done more than enough rambling here at this point. So I'm going to kick it over to John, Randall, and I for a little Nintendo chit chat. And yeah, until next week, we will catch you then, and take care. The platforming in Minish Cap is really cool too. Once they give you that like Rock's feather or whatever it is, it's a cape thing. It's like, it's really cool. You can like hold it down and do this like huge long jump, and you get it like up in the clouds at a few different points. Like, that game it's cool. Like, the world is really cool.
Hell yeah.
I'm definitely a fan of that game and highly recommend it.
Nice.
And in my head, I thought it was actually the only Zelda game I'd ever beaten. And then I was like, oh, wait, I did go back and beat Ocarina of Time, like picked up my old save file like 10 years later and was like, you know what? I'm just going to beat these last 2 dungeons.
Yeah.
And then I did beat Wind Waker. I totally forgot about that, which is probably my favorite.
Which version?
Zelda game overall. I beat that on GameCube.
Nice.
And I played a little bit of it on Wii U, maybe even a lot of it. I don't remember, but I definitely played it. And it looks fucking amazing on Wii U. Goddamn. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised they haven't ported that to Switch, to be honest. Like, just to be like, man, here it is.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
Boot it back up on GameCube when you set things up, Randall.
Yeah, I would love to do that, actually.
Seriously.
I remember it looking amazing on GameCube, too, for that matter.
Has Fiona seen it?
No.
That is a great opening area.
That's all the reason you need, yeah.
You're totally right.
Oh, that's a good opening section.
Yeah. It's just a living cartoon.
Yeah.
And they made it in that era.
It looks so good.
Yeah. It does.
It still just looks so incredible. Like, it is wild how good Wind Waker still looks, just because they like took a like bold design choice and it ended up just being a fucking timeless looking.
Yes.
Nintendo's always been so good at that, just like finding the right art style to just like, it just holds up better than anything else from that era usually.
100%.
I shouldn't say anything else, but most
pretty much though, really. Yeah.
Like the ones that I think are better aesthetically from that era are aesthetics that Nintendo would never attempt. there's some like horror stuff that I think like a lot of things did really well, and like others like really high concept artistic stuff, but like just the generic good, like this just looks good for the era. That's
like I still remember playing both obviously like Mario Galaxy and stuff like that, but even I remember playing the Strikers game on the Wii, and at the time thinking like I just remember like thinking while I was playing it, I was like, this game could like almost be a 360 game. Like it like looks that clean and just smooth, even though it's in 480p or whatever the hell it was on Switch. Maybe it was higher resolution than that, but I don't think so.
Metroid Prime 2 is so blurry. Like
really?
That is the one thing I
now.
noticed. Like especially after going from remastered to 2.
Yeah, I would think taking that jump,
it's unbelievable how like I would never have noticed it in like prior playthroughs, I think. But like booting it up, I'm just like, there is so much fuzz around every letter, even on like the booting screen where Nintendo is. It's like, it's just got a lot of artifacts everywhere, even though I still think it looks unbelievable. Like it is, the Metroid Prime series, I think also has a very specific, like almost pastel like level of sci-fi from the era. Like so much sci-fi from that era like is very sterile and like very like trying to be futuristic in a very like similar sense. Whereas
Metroid's
like,
definitely more vibrant for sure.
Yeah, you'll go to a planet in Metroid and you're like, what the fuck does this machine even do? Like, it's a very clearly made by like a completely different alien species that interacts with the world differently than I can conceive of. And I'm like, that rips. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
So are you playing Metroid Prime 2 on Wii, I'm assuming, or on the actual GameCube?
On GameCube. I did not get the trilogy, so I only have the original copies of 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
So I've got 3
I forgot
on
that
Wii.
I forgot that they even sold 3 individually, because I think I just went straight because they came out on the same day, right? The trilogy and the
I don't know about same day, but it was pretty close proximity, I want to say.
I thought Metroid Prime 3 and the trilogy came out on the same day in my mind, but maybe not, because I don't think I own.
I gotta check that.
I don't think I own 3, and I think the only reason I would have done that would have been if I just went straight ahead and bought the trilogy.
I was in the same boat, so yeah, it is kind of odd.
Because knowing me, I feel like I would have bought Metroid Prime 3, like especially because I would have been working at Best Buy or whatever at the time. I think at the time.
So
I can't remember if that came out when I was working there.
What the fuck? It came out in Japan last.
Weird.
It got
That's
it got
rare.
released in North America earliest in August. And then let's see the
No, 2007 versus 2009.
Yeah, the trilogy came out in 2009.
Yeah,
that
2
much
years.
later. Wow,
Yeah.
maybe I own Metroid Prime 3 and I just forgot that I bought it.
I don't think I did. But I was going to say, John,
or maybe
like,
I knew the trilogy was coming out and I was like, I got it.
I never got the trilogy because I didn't like the 3 control scheme. It's the
and
reason
they
why
forced you into that, right?
Yeah.
Like you could only, come on, Nintendo. What do we?
I mean, it was
make the
was it
option.
after Other M or before Other M? Ooh, that is a very good question. Metroid Other M.
Do you have a Wii at all, John? Do you have access to a Wii?
I have a Wii U.
Right.
Nice.
With that has the virtual thing for the oh my god, Other M came out in 2010.
After, wow.
No wonder I was so mad.
Yeah, that was kind of late era
like,
for Wii.
I can imagine, yes, because when I have memories of...
I want to replay that game, actually.
When I have memories of Metroid Prime
Or go back
3,
to it.
it's in my freshman dorm. And when I have memories of Other M, it's in my house or apartment in college.
There you go.
So I'm like, yep, that is how I figure out where time is in when I played a game. That's when I played Xenoblade Chronicles, was in that apartment. Like,
Nice.
oh boy. And Fragile Dreams.
Nice.
The subtitle for that game.
Echoes of a something or another. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that just made it into the most recent saver for the cast, talking about that game.
Good.
No, I was going to say about Metroid Prime 2, but I don't think you have a capability of doing this, but it does offer progressive scan. Like if you hold B Well, you have like a version that could play a GameCube game with component cables one way or the other. You hold the B button down when you're booting, it'll go into 480p mode, and it probably would be crisper.
It just does it automatically if you hold B?
If you hold B, it'll ask you, do you want to enable progressive scan? And then you say yes, and then
But you got to have the component cables,
right?
Though.
I mean, yeah,
which on Wii is a lot cheaper than trying to get the goddamn GameCube ones.
Yeah.
Oh, they're VCA cables, not component.
Oh wait, actually, now that I say that though, I think there is an aftermarket third-party solution to component cables that's not.
I think
like
you're right.
$200-$300 now,
right.
but it's still like $50-$60, so it's not like super cheap, but it's affordable comparatively. Just an option.
It's the same. I know that the connector for the Wii U, I think, is the same as the.
Or wait, you're playing on the.
And as the GameCube.
Wait, you're playing. Or no.
I don't.
No, they're
think
not.
so.
They're not the same. They're the same
I was
on the
able to
GameCube and the
reuse one of the
Super
cables.
Nintendo. The
Right.
Super Nintendo and GameCube are the same.
Yes.
And 64, all three
Yeah,
of those.
yeah,
Gotcha,
yeah,
actually.
yeah.
Then
all
it's
three of
it's the
those.
64 that I use.
Although
where
it's
anytime I
yeah.
switch between 64 and GameCube, I just use the same.
Yeah. God, if they could have just always fucking done that.
I know.
I know.
I guess not just HDMI
Right.
nowadays, but in the in between, it was annoying.
Although it's actually a different digital port for the component adapter for GameCube that you plug into.
Oh, really?
That's not used otherwise. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's kind of this like it's like rectangly with like an oblong side.
So,
but yeah.
But anyway, I'm
progressive
playing
scan.
it and it's blurry and it's beautiful and I love it.
Metroid
That's
Prime
amazing.
2.
God, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's such a fucking good game. It's so hard. I mean, I had just come from playing like casual mode on Prime, so I had been going pretty hot into a lot of things, but I was like dying multiple times over in 2, and I was like, is this because I'm dumb or is this because this game is hard?
Sheesh. I
Like
remember having that reputation even in the moment though when that released.
It's all
yeah, I remember that one
front-loaded
being like the
difficulty.
hardest. Yeah.
Like when you don't have the bucket suit, you lose health so quick outside of like the safe zones, and it's like as fast as like you can possibly lose health. So like until you get the bucket suit, like there's a harsh timer on a very like early section of the game, but it's
Like-
not that bad.
Is it akin to like Super Metroid going into like the lava area before you have
100%.
Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
boy.
So I don't know if I'm going to talk Metroid Prime on the podcast or if I should talk about something else, because I also have Dream Daddy First Impressions.
Nice.
I've been playing that with Lauren, and yeah, I don't really have that much to say about Phantom Brave.
Dream Daddy.
Dream Daddy.
I'm down for some Dream Daddy.
Hell yeah.
And then Randall, you've got the quarry.
Quarry. How do you say this
quarry?
word?
The
Quarry.
I would say quarry.
Quarry. Quorum. Quarry.
Query.
Query.
Which I don't even know. I don't know anything about this game.
I know
so
what a
I'm
query
curious.
is. I work in databases, so I'm pretty sure it's not that one, but hopefully. Quarry.
Quarry. Say it, move quickly. Don't dwell on it.
Quarry.
Quarry.
Exactly.
Quarry.
That's what he said. I don't know anything about that game.
Me neither.
Find out.
And then I might just do a rundown of my physical copies here. I literally have a stack of 10 games on Switch here.
I'm loving
that
this.
I might just
episode.
run
This is
down and
gonna
give a
be
little
real good.
little short impressions on these.
So you're not talking about The Quarry.
I am talking about the Quarry.
The 2022 interactive drama horror game.
That's
developed
correct.
By Supermassive Games. This was developed by
The Quarry.
This was developed by Supermassive.
Why do I know
Yes.
that name? What else have they done?
Until Dawn, the Dark Pictures anthology, the casting of Frank Stone.
The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. I don't think they did that. It sounded like a similar name.
It is kind of in a similar vein. I think. Well, maybe I don't know. It doesn't.
I
seem,
think it's kind of like a mystery,
Right.
sort of thing.
Until 2018, Supermassive worked almost exclusively with PlayStation, first working on downloadable content for Media Molecule's Little Big Planet.
Wow.
Wow.
That's it.
That's
I had no
interesting.
idea on that.
That's a big move.
Yeah, that's
From
a big pivot, really.
designing Little Big Planet levels to horror. For rules.
That's funny.
PBR might be my least favorite shitty beer.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that either. Or old style is basically the same thing.
I could crush a case of old style before I would reach for a PBR. Like,
Give me a hams. Give me a hams all day. I saw some hams the other day at the store, and I was like, "Let's go!" I almost bought some, but they only had like 4 packs of tall boys, and I was like, I'm only buying hams if I can get a 30 rack."
I sat down
4 of them.
I sat down at Crawford's, and like they have an entire section of like $4 beer, and like I was like, "Oh, give me a hams," and I was like, I didn't even look, like I didn't even see what my other options were, and I was like, was I really okay with just going for hams right off the bat?
Gotta see if they got that Genesee cream ale instead, man.
Ooh, I have not seen any place that is.
I have never found it again. They used to once in a while have it at Binny's, but I never saw it there again, and I never saw. Then they would literally have it in like a stack against the wall, like between the men's and women's restroom.
God, you're right. Oh my
Practically,
God.
but it would be like these back stacks. It's like you'd have to go like hunting for it. And I was like, there's the Genesee.
Hilarious.